Eating with Nicola Beer. Nicola controlled her feelings using food for 25 years, so she knows how draining it is to be constantly thinking about or acting out with food. Thankfully, having made an amazing breakthrough in her recovery, her mission became about helping others escape the unsatisfying cycle of frustration and self-medication with food. Nicola is determined to help you find your inner strength so you can be healthy, gain confidence, feel great, and be at peace with yourself and food.
Hi and welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm going to be talking about a really interesting topic today, and that is the mind and gut connection. And the reason that it's so interesting and I'm so excited to be sharing with you about it is because often a lot of people will look at food as the problem when it comes to gut problems. And this is what I want to sort of explore today. Is it food or is it emotional? The amount of women and men who have discovered that their husband or wife is cheating on them and had an affair will share with me that the physical symptoms that they're having is a real stressed out stomach, where they're running to the toilet or not going to the toilet, or where they are just constantly having churning in their stomach. Sometimes it keeps them awake at night. Some people feel really hungry, some people don't feel hungry. And then there's all other emotions, grief, the loss of your partner saying, I don't love you anymore, or I'm leaving. All of this stress can come and affect the gut. And then there are other life events too that might get in the way. For example, nervousness about a job, financial stress, worry about a big presentation, or move. All of these things can cause us stress in our body, and this then can affect our relationships and our life in general and our happiness. So that's really why I wanted to sort of bring light to this. I think it's a really fascinating area because these days so many people are getting tested for food allergies, for wheat intolerance, gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance. Do you believe that we've all become intolerant, or is it emotional as well? Are we more highly stressed? Are we more highly focused on gadgets and technology rather than connecting with each other? If this interests you, great, carry on listening. If you're not interested in the mind, body, gut connection, then feel free to just skip this episode. I am going to be creating another episode coming up in the next few weeks as well on the importance of human connection, because I believe that all of these things are kind of related. And if you haven't yet, do subscribe to the show so that you don't miss any episodes. I do have 3 very popular podcast shows. I'm not sure if you have checked all of them out. The main 2 are Save Your Marriage podcast and Emotions and Eating. So if you're interested in either one of those and you're not only listening to one of them, then do Google my name into your favourite podcast platform to find it. So Imran Mayer, a gastroenterologist, neuroscientist and UCLA professor who studied how the digestive system and nervous system interact in health and disease, states, the brain and the gut are so closely connected, you almost have to look at it as one unit. Our brain and gut are connected. There are so many instances where you can probably identify this with yourself. So many instances where we feel physical symptoms that indicate there is a deep connection between the mind and our gut. For example, when we feel butterflies before attempting to do something that excites us or scares us, or when we feel butterflies in our stomach when we were younger and someone came along that we really found attractive. Sometimes people still have those butterflies way on in their 50s, 60s and 70s. And then when something scares us, we may feel a gut instinct of fear, of hollowness, of emptiness. We may get a gut feeling that something isn't right about a person or about a decision that we might need to make. However, we seem to forget that as much as we feel good emotions in our gut and bad emotions in our gut of fear, we also tend to forget that we also experience stress in our gut. Stress can be that nauseating feeling, that feeling of sharp pain or just a dull ache or stomach cramps before an interview These are just some of the things, and maybe you're listening and you can totally relate and have your own examples of this. Unfortunately, stress and difficult emotions are the ones that have a negative impact on our gut. Chronic stress can totally disrupt the microorganisms that help us to break down food and maintain a healthy, active immune system. The link between the mind and gut starts in the mind. When we experience a stressful situation, our mind sends two signals throughout our bodies. One message spikes the stress hormone cortisol, and the other initiates a gut reaction, such as a bellyache or irregular bowel movements, diarrhea and constipation. Both are there to tell us that something is not okay. When the mind senses that something isn't right, the nerves are sent to completely change the disposition of the lining of our gut to make sure that our body can communicate clearly that we are stressed. Chronic stress over a long period of time can do a lot of damage to our insides, destroying the lining that can lead to the leaky gut syndrome, where the gut immune system is compromised. Thus we begin developing allergies, intolerances and autoimmune diseases. So if we want to fight our colds and flus, we really need to look after our gut immune system. Usually the impact of stress in your life will bring on a change in food that you consume. For example, you may turn to comforting food, or food high in sugar, or greasy and oily food, or convenient food, or not eat at all. Naturally, you will assume that this is the foods that you're consuming, your diet, your pattern, that is creating the issues in your gut. However, we need to realise that our food intake is not the sole culprit in causing this reaction in our bodies. It is the stress or emotions we hold deep inside that are disrupting the health of our gut. If we do not deal with the issues that are creating stress in our lives, then we will never truly heal the microorganisms in our gut. This is particularly noticeable for those who suffer with irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. They find that they have extreme flare-ups when they are stressed or anxious, further reinforcing the idea that the mind and the gut are intimately connected. I used to have really bad IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, for years. And I kept going to the doctor and they put me on all these different medications. I was probably given about 5 or 6 different medications in the UK to take, not all at once, but trying like lots of different things over the years. Nothing really worked or made any difference until I completely changed my career and did some healing work on my childhood and self-love. And then that made a huge difference. When you understand the infinite connection between mind and gut, you're able to understand the positive impact of cognitive therapies on health issues that arise from an unhealthy gut. So what I mean by cognitive therapies is talking therapies, so talking things through with a therapist. If you can't afford a therapist, then talking things through with someone that you trust, things that are on your mind, things that are stressing you, and especially if you have consistent problems. And then there is mindfulness, which is a great new thing, which basically means focusing on one thing at a time. Then there's meditation. I love doing guided meditations, as you know, and I've got a few on my website. Hypnotherapy, which is also very powerful. You may have heard me talk about that before. It's really helped change my life and many of the others that I've worked with. Yoga can be another example, and any other ways that really you can move. I had a lady, she didn't really like Pilates or yoga, so she started doing swimming, and that really helped her stomach. These can all improve the symptoms of stress and anxiety. When you understand the infinite connection between the mind and gut, you're able to understand the positive impact of cognitive therapies on health issues that arise from an unhealthy gut. And by cognitive therapies, I mean talking therapy, so talking things through with a counsellor or a coach. And if you don't have the budget for that, then talking it through with a really good friend or trusted family member that you really can confide in and share the things that are on your mind that possibly could be leading to an upset gut or lots of illnesses. Mindfulness, which is basically focusing on one thing at a time, doing one thing at a time. Then there's meditation and hypnotherapy, and you know probably by now that I'm a huge advocate of that. It's really helped to transform not only my life, but thousands of others that I've had the privilege to work with over the years. and I've given 2 in my audio programs, and I get great feedback again and again from my audio programs that the meditations and the hypnotherapies have just changed everything, and they're just so amazed that just changing the subconscious mind by listening to the audios in a relaxing state before sleep or when you wake up in the morning has made such an impact. And then there's things like yoga and any other sort of physical activities, walking, swimming. These can all help the symptoms of stress and anxiety. And researchers have found that patients who tried psychologically based approaches, so these kind of approaches, had a far greater improvement in their digestive systems compared with patients who received only conventional medical treatment. And that just really reminds me of my own case, where I was just given all these different drugs that none of them really worked at all, fibre gel and all these other things. And actually what I really needed was somebody to help me release these feelings of not feeling good enough so that I could just relax more and enjoy life. And nothing is better than just enjoying a life to the full. I always find it really attractive when I meet people who are just absolutely involved in so many different things, happy, positive, and I thought, I'm never going to be that person. And thankfully, I really am enjoying my life to the max. The next, I'm going to share with you some things you can do alongside therapy to reduce your stress levels. As a result, you will notice positive impact this has on your body. So the first thing is really get moving. So I'm just highlighting that again. Choosing a physical activity that you find works best for you. Make sure that you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy physical activity, then you're just going to be adding more stress to you. So make sure that there's some form of movement that you enjoy. So I had one lady that loves doing hula hooping. She doesn't want to go to a gym. She doesn't want to lift weights. She doesn't really like walking because it's too hot where she lives. So she's done hula hooping inside. And she finds it fun. So it's finding something that you find good for you. With people with a lot of anger, I really highly recommend kickboxing or martial arts or normal boxing, just to really get out that frustration, or running. This can be really great. Myself, I love to dance, do yoga and walk. Those are like my 3 main things. But anything that you can choose that will relieve tension for you. Some people need high adrenaline exercises to relieve tension. Other people need really soft, gentle, loving movements. So you've really got to focus on what works best for you. Things that help you relax your mind and release endorphins, the happy hormones in the brain. The other thing is mindfulness, as I mentioned. So this is like taking some time out to focus on yourself with no distractions. Sometimes it can be one of the most difficult things to do, to turn off our phone and just be doing one thing at a time. Watching some comedy, just focusing on that. Or just focusing on the cooking. Just focusing on walking. Just focusing on one thing at a time. And this can be also a good thing to do to address any negative thoughts and replace them with positive affirmations. Saying positive things to yourself repeatedly can really help. So some people will just sit there in silence and then just focus their mind on reading a positive affirmation, and that's what they do. And I really do believe that positive affirmations, hypnotherapy, meditation, they can all over time help you reduce your amounts of stress by flooding your mind with positive thoughts about the future, about yourself. And what we hold in our mind really does affect our daily mood and our daily experiences. So it's a great thing to really do, and lessens the impact of stressful situations so that you're able to handle these stressful situations in a much better way. And then there's deep breathing. And this may seem like a very simple thing to do, but how often do you actually focus on your breathing and do nothing but breathe? Deep breathing allows us to trigger our parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for our ability to rest, repair. We cannot heal if we're not in that relaxed state. The body needs to be in that relaxed state to be able to heal any physical things that we are going through. So really deep breathing, meditations, hypnotherapy, things that really calm you are so beneficial. If you're going through any stomach issues at the moment, then consider getting some support. If you'd like to discuss having support from me, I'd absolutely love to share more about how I've helped people. You can book a call on my website, nicolabeer.com, with me. So I'm just going to share the story of somebody